The following program is made possible by the faithful prayers and financial support of listeners just like you. To find out how you can help, visit www.trunews.com.
Question: when and how will Russia and Iran retaliate to last Friday's attack on Syria? Stay tuned. We're going to talk about it on today's edition of True News. This is True News. I'm Rick Wiles. The United States of America, Great Britain, and France declared war on Syria last Friday night. President Donald Trump made a massive mistake when he unconstitutionally authorized the U.S. Department of Defense to wage war against Syria. Syria has never attacked the United States of America, nor has Syria threatened this nation. Likewise, Syria has not threatened nor attacked Great Britain and France, yet both nations participated in the unwarranted act of aggression against Syria. The questions now that all of us must ask are, number one, when will Russia and Iran retaliate? And number two, how will they retaliate? Now, even worse, the stated justification for the act of war was based on false allegations of alleged use of chemical weapons against innocent children. Before we talk about the allegations of chemical weapons, let's recall why the USA is involved militarily in Syria. Did the Syrian government, an independent and sovereign nation, invite the United States to deploy troops and establish military bases on their soil? No. The USA invaded Syria. The dark state's propaganda newspapers and TV networks regularly tell the public that Syria is engulfed in a civil war. There is no civil war. Syria was invaded in 2013 by an army of violent Islamic extremists recruited, armed, trained, and funded by the United States, Europe, Saudi Arabia, and Israeli intelligence agencies and militaries. What do you think was going on in Benghazi? Why was there such an effort to cover up the truth? Why do you think Congressman Trey Gowdy did nothing but blow smoke during his Benghazi investigation? Congressman Benghazi's investigation was a sham when he discovered that the CIA was running rockets, guns, and ammo to ISIS from their Benghazi compound. Every Christian should be outraged by the bloodshed, horror, and destruction that was unleashed on the Syrian people by Western nations, Saudi Arabia, and Israel. I repeatedly cried out on True News for over 5 years for an end to Western support of jihadists such as ISIS and the Free Syrian Army. Hundreds of thousands of innocent people were killed by ISIS over the past 5 years. Many Christians were martyred. Christian children were cut in half with swords. Pastors were impaled on crosses inside their church. Christians were crucified on crosses in the streets of Syrian towns. Ancient churches were looted and burned. Western news media propaganda outlets have demonized President Assad. They call him a butcher. Well, let me tell you who the real butchers are in this story. The real butchers are Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton, John Kerry, John McCain, Lindsey Graham, Nancy Pelosi, John Boehner, Mitch McConnell, Charles Schumer, Paul Ryan, all the members of the House and Senate Intelligence Committees, and every man and woman in U.S. intelligence agencies, Britain's MI6, Israel's Mossad, the Saudi General Intelligence Agency, the Pentagon, defense contractors, propaganda PR agencies, news journalists, and shipping and air transport services who secretly participated in and or condone the covert operation in Syria to arm ISIS jihadists. All of them have blood dripping from their hands, and all of them will someday stand before a holy God to give an account for the wicked, evil deeds they did in this life. In 2013, 2014, 2015, I cried out to God to save the Syrian Christians. This ministry's supporters contributed over $100,000 to donate to Syrian Christian relief organizations. Sadly, most American churches and ministries were strangely silent while our brethren were slaughtered by ISIS. American evangelical Christians were too engrossed in supporting Israel that they didn't have any time or interest in defending Syrian Christians from Israel and the United States. American Christians had plenty of time for Facebook, but no time to demand that Washington stop arming ISIS. God heard my intercessory prayers for Syrian Christians. He heard the prayers of many saints, and God inspired Vladimir Putin to send the Russian army to Syria to stop the carnage. Thank God for the Russian military that rescued Syrian Christians from the bloody hands of the Western-backed jihadists. It grieves me to see and hear the Russian people demonized by the Illuminati dark state propagandists in this country. If the Russians had not gone to Syria, ISIS would still be killing Christians with the weapons supplied by America, Great Britain, Saudi Arabia, and Israel. Shame on these nations. President Trump campaigned against Americans' involvement in Syria. Just weeks ago, he said American troops would come home soon. Well, they're not coming home soon. Mr. Trump was hoodwinked by U.S. intelligence operatives who secretly work for the Israeli Zionists. Mr. Trump was convinced by his war hawk advisors that President Assad woke up one morning and decided he would gas babies. Mr. Trump fell for the false flag. Mr. Trump has yet to figure out that the same people who are working tirelessly to bring him down with false accusations are the same people pushing him to start a war in Syria that will lead to war with Iran and Russia. I am deeply disappointed in President Trump. I held out hope that he would resist the pressure to give the deep state the war with Russia they so desperately crave. Mr. Trump betrayed the people who voted for him in 2016. We voted to end the madness. We voted to stop the dark state. We voted to end the endless wars. Israeli-controlled White House and Pentagon advisors, however, have a hook in Mr. Trump's jaw, and they are leading him into World War III with Russia, China, and Iran. I do not believe Mr. Trump is a deceiver. I believe he is deceived. I believe he is so preoccupied with saving his own skin that he's vulnerable to being deceived by treacherous advisors. But who appointed the advisors? Mr. Trump is a victim of his own making. You can't drain the swamp when you appoint alligators to guard the drain plugs. Doc Burkhart and Edward Zoll are here to help me analyze today's news headlines. Gentlemen, Mr. Trump, I believe, has betrayed the people who voted for him. He's not the same man.
I was watching Friday night and my heart just sank when I heard the news that the strikes were underway, because I was praying, don't let it happen, don't let it happen. Let there be a change of heart. Let there be something that happens. But it happened.
He went with it. Well, we know that the previous time, a year ago, it was his daughter Ivanka
Yes.
that got to him. she took in the pictures and said, look at this, look at this. Assad is killing babies, you know, and President Trump fell for it. We don't know who got to him on this one, but he has surrounded himself with these people.
Right.
You appoint John Bolton. What kind of advice do you think you're going to get?
War.
Go to war.
Bomb, yes.
John Bolton wants war with Iran. John Bolton wants war with North Korea. John Bolton wants war with Russia. You're going to get a war. If that's who's whispering in your ear, you're going to get a war. And so Mr. Trump has appointed these people, and he's responsible for the advice that he's getting. But it's bad advice, and he's being manipulated. The United States is being manipulated. The American people are being manipulated. Somebody wants a war in the Middle East, and who stands to gain from a war in the Middle East? So let's talk about what happened. France's President Macron. Now, he got nervous over the weekend. He goes, well, hey, we didn't declare war on Syria.
Sure looks like a war.
What do you call missiles coming in, blowing up your buildings if that isn't declaring war?
Protecting women and children.
Oh, yeah. Well, he's nervous now. He's nervous because he's now fearing retaliation. He went along with it, but now I think he's nervous, and he's back peddling. Well, it wasn't an active war. We didn't declare war. We just bombed you.
So precision strikes aren't war.
So what if Japan said in 41? Well, we blew up Pearl Harbor, but we didn't declare war.
Right. We just some precision strikes on some ships.
But the United States said you declared war
because people died. I mean,
people died. It was a violent attack on our military post, and so the Syrians have every right to say the U.S., Britain, and France declared war. The Russians have every right to say you declared war on our ally.
Right.
And so this is where it's going right now. Now, the way I see it is Donald Trump, Theresa May, and Emmanuel Macron basically took a baseball bat and beat on a killer beehive.
Right.
And what do you think is going to happen?
Well, they think they're going to use America as a shield. You know, they beat on that beehive, and they have America as this bee-protecting suit. The problem is that bee-protecting suit has a lot of holes in it. That suit's very old. That suit itself is falling apart from within. And Rick, I think that, as you mentioned here with Macron, that interview, I think it really dawned on him how much not only he is dependent on Russia for energy and trade, but also how dependent they are on America for protection. I mean, what is NATO without America?
Right.
Without American money?
The biggest hole America has is the hole in the wall of righteousness.
Yes.
Because our wall of righteousness has collapsed.
Yeah, we're a nation of iniquity. That's what we are. That's what we do best now.
And, we could say that we're a nation living in unwalled villages.
Yes. And what does the Bible say about a nation of unwalled villages? That they shall be overrun.
That's right. They're attacked suddenly because they're living at ease in unwalled villages. And that's America. We don't have any walls around us. President can't even build a wall. All right, they're trying to build a wall, and they won't let him build a wall because America doesn't have any walls around us. We're a nation of unwalled villages, but we're living in ease, and we're living in false security, and we're deceived by the sin of this nation. The sin has deceived us. We believe, we trust in our military, we trust in our might, we trust in the dollar, that America can't fall. America can't be attacked because we're America.
Right.
And it's impossible for America to fall. But that's deception based on pride. So if you look at, Saturday there was in Arabic media. I didn't see anything in the U.S., but in the Middle Eastern news media Saturday, there were reports that an unidentified warplane attacked an Iranian military base in Syria and killed, I don't recall how the number of
13
Iranians.
to 20 Iranians.
Yeah,
it varies
and
on
so
the reports.
There are mixed reports. Nobody has verified it. Israel has not taken credit for it. Nobody has actually said whether it has happened, but that supposedly happened on Saturday. So there's a possibility that Israel jumped into this thing. But we're now, the reports that we're seeing coming out of the Middle East is that Mr. Netanyahu has been told by Vladimir Putin, don't do this again. All right? The rules are changing at this point. And I think we could see the Russians shooting down Israeli warplanes
Oh my goodness.
over Syria. I want to say that because I want to talk first about this, what we know about the attack, okay? So Sergei Lavrov, the foreign minister, he's made some comments about that this was a false flag. That they're not saying, hey, there was a chemical attack and it was done by the jihadists. They're saying there was no chemical attack.
That's all
the
fake.
whole thing is fake. There are no corpses. There are no victims. There's no chemical evidence. What do we know about it other than what Theresa May and Lindsey Graham say about it?
Well, regarding what Sergei Lavrov mentioned here, and this is recently as an interview with BBC, he mentioned that the evidence which was presented by the White House, by the Department of Defense, was based on largely unverified photos and videos that were publicly available online. That was what constituted the bulk of the evidence.
We
that the White House
bombed
cited.
a country based on photographs that we got off the internet?
Yes.
Basically, off of Facebook.
Oh, this is the new standard. Well, why do we need the CIA?
Right.
We just have Facebook.
Well, in this regard, Sergei Lavrov, I think he's not laughing. That's something I've noticed with Sergei Lavrov's statements. This isn't a joke to Russia because it's become their nightmare. It's a reality that they are facing an opponent who's willing to throw something as ridiculous as a Facebook post in their face to not just condemn them in the UN Security Council, but to physically launch munitions that could have killed hundreds on Friday.
What was the reference he made to, was it a war based on predetermined scenarios?
That was what they said on Friday night after the attack. They said they're putting into motion the pre-designated scenario. They didn't expand on this, but this is something that's become quite a discussion for us here is what do we think Russia meant by that? Do we think they meant with a long-term plan through an economic sanction? Or could it be what you mentioned in the question, their planned retaliation?
We have a video clip of Sergei Lavrov in an interview with BBC, and he's talking about the madness of attacking countries with no evidence. Let's watch this video.
There is no proof that on the 7th of April, chemical weapons were used in Douma.
But there is proof.
Can you?
Emmanuel Macron and the French have made it quite plain. They have intercepts which show helicopter movements, Syrian government helicopter movements over Douma. They have pictures of gas canisters found at the site of the attack. They also have the record of the Syrian government over the last several years using chemical weapons. If you put all of that together, as far as the French, the Americans, the British are concerned...
I cannot be impolite to the heads of other states. And of course I cannot be impolite to the head of my state. But you quoted the leaders of France and UK and the United States. And frankly speaking, all the evidence which they quoted was based on the media reports and on social networks.
Okay, so the BBC reporter says, look, we have pictures of Syrian helicopters.
Okay.
We have pictures of gas canisters on the ground.
Okay.
That's the evidence.
Yeah.
Okay, that's it.
Just helicopters and gas canisters. That's it? That's the only thing? What about bodies? Would that be helpful? Would that be proof there? That
Okay,
something
so
happened?
Doc, like let's say I have a shooting at my house and I say, Doc, I have photographs of your car on my street and I've got photographs of shotgun shells on my sidewalk.
But do you have a body?
We don't need a body.
But we just take the two photographs. I got
That's
a
enough.
photograph of your car and I got a photograph of shotgun shells and I determine you did it. Now, would that hold up in a court of law?
Of course not.
No. That's how they're starting wars.
And even on Friday night, before, as the attack was underway, you saw statements by, different people in government saying that they were confident that they had the necessary evidence to, engender this attack. They were confident. I don't want confidence. I want 100% assurance before I start blowing up women and children.
They've taken it, the Russians took it to another level today where they basically said that the U.S. and Great Britain supplied crisis actors.
Yes.
Crisis actors. Where have we heard this before?
Inside the United States.
Crisis actors. paid actors to act out a fake news story. And so we've got a video of a Syrian medical student. What are we going to see here?
Yes, the Syrian medical student you're going to see, his name is Khalil Ajish. And what he was actually in the viral video that President Trump saw, that his cabinet saw, and cited for the attack. And what he's going to say in this, Rick, it's subtitled in English. He is going to say that he was in the room treating casualties from a bomb attack. They were experiencing symptoms of smoke inhalation, not from a chemical attack. And he said that at one point, it was weird. A provocateur came into the emergency room, started recording, and then another came in and yelled, "There's been a chemical attack," and everyone panicked. That's what he's going to explain.
Let's watch it.
اسمي خليل الجيش، طالب طب، أعمل مقيم في قسم الإسعاف في مشفى دوما. بتاريخ 8/4/2018 استقبل قسم الإسعاف عدد من الإصابات إثر تعرض أحد الأبنية السكنية للقصف، ما أدى إلى تهدم الطوابق العلوية وتعرض الطوابق السفلية للحريق. تم إجلاء المصابين إلى قسم الإسعاف. كان منهم الجرحى تم التعامل معهم، وكان هناك بعض حالات الاختناق بسبب الدخان والغبار. تم التعامل مع هذه الحالات بشكل عرضي، لكن أثناء إسعاف هذه الإصابات جاء أحد الأشخاص وصرخ في قسم الإسعاف أن هناك ضربة بالسلاح الكيماوي، مما دفع الناس المتواجدين في قسم الإسعاف إلى التعامل مع هذه الحالات على أنها ضربة بالسلاح الكيماوي، مما دفعهم إلى غسل الأطفال ووضع بخاخ السالبوتامول في فم الأطفال، علما أنهم أشخاص غير ذوي خبرة. علما أن في هذا اليوم لم يستقبل المشفى أي حالة تنطبق مع الإصابة بالسلاح الكيماوي.
Doc, you know, Jesus said in the last days, if it's possible, even the elect of God will be deceived.
Yes.
Folks, you're watching news on these news networks that's fake. That's why this ministry is called True News. We've been True News for a long, long time. Jesus said, if it's possible, even the elect will be deceived in the last days. You're going to be seen, you're going to be watching things, you're going to hear things, you're going to be told things. It's going to look real. It's not going to be real. They have the technology now to take your face and put your face on somebody else's body in a video.
Yes.
And make you say things that you didn't say. And it would be impossible for the average person to discern that it's not real.
Right.
You can't trust anything now. You can only trust the inward witness of the Holy Spirit talking to you. You better have the Holy Spirit in you and have the Word of God in your spirit, in your mind, so you can discern these things. I want to move on quickly here. All right, the U.S. says it blew up the chemical weapons factory.
Is that really a good idea to blow up a chemical weapons factory, Rick?
Okay, yeah, so you're worried about a little bit of gas that Assad allegedly used, but you're going to send in Tomahawk missiles, blow the thing to smithereens. Where's the toxic gas cloud? Did it drift over the Middle East? Is it coming to us?
Oh, no, don't worry about that, Rick. The Joint Chiefs of Staff, directly after the attack, assured the press that there would be no residue from any chemicals after they struck these facilities.
When you blow up a chemical warfare agent manufacturing plant, there's no toxic cloud?
Yeah,
they were positive, very confident there would be none.
Because there's none there. That's why.
But just use your common sense. First of all, you wouldn't blow up a chemical weapons plant.
Right.
Who would do something like that? You seize it, you lock it down, you remove the chemical agents, but you wouldn't blow it up. And if you did blow it up, there's a massive toxic cloud that's drifting over the Middle East, going around the planet. Just use your common sense, folks. They're lying. They're lying, they're lying, they're lying. Your government is lying to you. Nikki Haley is a liar. John McCain is a liar. Lindsey Graham is a liar. They're liars. And they're trying to start World War III. Syrian church leaders. Whose side are the Christians? There's 2.5 million Christians in Syria. They trace their heritage all the way back to the apostles. I know they're not Southern Baptists. They're Christians. They can trace their heritage back to the apostles.
They're our brothers and sisters.
They're our brethren. Whose side are they on?
Assad's.
They're on President Assad's side?
Yes.
Wait a minute, he's evil.
He's a brutal butcher, we're told. But the Christians in Syria are praying for President Assad.
Because he's protected them against the butchers. Because
Think about that.
You mentioned this at the beginning. Do people forget the barbarism that was going on in Aleppo? As you mentioned,
Christian city.
Right.
A Christian city.
Yes.
Where the Assyrians, the ones that fled Turkey during the Armenian genocide, this is where they came to.
The Syrian army and the Russian army came to Aleppo. Aleppo is a Christian city. The Syrian army and the Russian army came to Aleppo to save the Christians
Yes.
from the jihadists that America and Israel and Saudi Arabia armed and sent there.
Right.
Thank God for the Russian army that they went there. Thank God, or all the Christians would have been killed. But they intervened. God heard the prayers of Christians.
Amen.
All right, and the only thing to do is to stop ISIS. All right, America's not fighting ISIS. What a big joke. Look, the next time you hear some politician on Fox News or CNN talking about fighting ISIS, just call him a liar. He's a liar. We're not fighting ISIS.
We created ISIS.
We created it and we armed it. We have the photograph of the patriarchs of the Christian churches who made a statement in support of President Assad.
So John X, the Greek Orthodox Patriarch of Antioch and all the East, Ignatius Ephraim II, Syrian Orthodox Patriarch of Antioch and all the East, and Joseph Abzi, the Melkite Greek Catholic Patriarch of Antioch, Alexandria, and Jerusalem, were the three main church leaders who not only made this statement, Rick, but are speaking for the Christians of Egypt, of Jerusalem, and Syria.
And they issued a statement condemning the attack on their country. So if you're going to be for Christ, if you're going to be for the church, if you're going to be for your brethren, then you can't be supporting the United States and Israel in attacking Syria.
Amen. That's right.
Rick, I saw the most disgusting thing Friday, and this goes on to people who are cheerleading this attack. One man on Twitter posted that he wished the U.S. airplanes had diverted after their attack in Syria and had then bombed the Gaza Strip.
Right. I saw that tweet. Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Well, Lindsey Graham is upset that this President Trump didn't bomb enough Friday night. He wants more bombing.
So how many more Christians are going to have to die, Rick, in Syria?
Well, you know how my feeling. You better be careful what you're asking about, how much what you want, because American Christians that are hoping for bombing in Syria may get some bombing in the United States someday, may come back to get you. Listen, we have a lot more and we want to talk about. That's why we're expanding True News to 2 hours coming in May. We need your support. We're busily building a new studio here, and we need your financial support. Folks, I just tell it like it is. I'm not trying to be popular. I'm just telling you like it is. And I'm telling you the truth the best that I can. I hope you support me. God bless you. I'll see you tomorrow.
The preceding program was made possible by the faithful prayers and financial support of listeners just like you. To find out how you can help, visit www.truenews.com.